For buyers out there who might be hoping that prices might still come down in Edmonton, the way the market shifted in the last 30 days might be a little disconcerting. I'm starting to see that the housing market inventory is starting to tighten up in Edmonton. Now, the way this looks is not necessarily the same in all the different segments of the market, but I'm first going to start by looking at homes under 500,000. So if we look at detached homes under 500,000, so we're not including condos or townhouses or even half duplexes. This video is just about detached homes, so if you're not looking at that market, it might not be totally relevant to you. I might do some videos on that later, but for now we're just looking at detached homes. Now, if you look at detached homes under 500,000, as of today, and today is February 27th, so we're right at the end of the month here in February. I don't have the new stats yet for my regular update, but I wanted to give you a quick update on what I see happening in the detached home market. Now, for homes under 500,000, there's currently 894 active listings in Edmonton. And the last 30 days, there's been 338 sales. So that actually represents a listing absorption rate of 37.8%, or if you flip that number around and turn it into months of inventory, that's sitting at 2.64 months of inventory. There's also about 167 properties that are pending. These are homes that are no longer counted as active on the market, but they're also not counted as sold. It's because they're under contract. More than likely, the majority of them will end up showing up as sold in the next week or two. But right now, they're just under contract, waiting to get their conditions satisfied, and then they'll show up as sold. So we got a good chunk that are gonna be sold probably in the next week or two. So what does all this mean? Well, the reason I'm showing these stats is because that's a pretty significant change in just the last 30 days in Edmonton. If you watched my February market update, we were still right in the middle of a buyer's market, and I think the absorption rate was sitting at around like 18%. That was the market as a whole, not looking at homes just under 500,000. But either way, in the last 30 days, there's been a pretty big shift. Once you get to 37% or 2.64 months of inventory, you're now actually kind of right in the middle of a balanced market for those types of homes, which is a pretty big switch considering we used to be in a buyer's market for those types of homes. So the inventory is getting tighter. We're starting to see more buyers come out and purchase properties in that price range, and there hasn't been a ton of new listings yet. Now, obviously, this is something that could change as we get further into the spring market, but for now, it's a pretty significant change. So if you've been on the fence thinking about buying and you're looking at buying in that range, at least in the short term, you should probably let go of any ideas of prices going down. Obviously, this could change if the balance of the market changes, but right now, the current market conditions, I'm not seeing that going to make prices go down for homes under 500,000. Now, why are we looking at homes under 500,000? That's probably a really good question here. So it's because it makes up the majority of the market. If you looked at my February market update video, you probably noticed that the vast majority of homes that are sold are under 500,000. And so just using the numbers I just shared with you for detached homes, in the last 30 days, there was 472 sales and 338 of them were under 500,000. So that's almost 72% of the market. So you've got a good chunk of the market, or the good majority of the market, that's under that price range, and that's moved into a balanced market. That's essentially why I'm saying you probably shouldn't be expecting the home values in that range to go down in the short term. Now let's take a look at homes over 500,000, because it's a little bit of a different story in that market. So rather than looking at everything over 500,000, I still want to keep it within reason. So we're going to look at homes between 500 and 800,000. So sort of excluding luxury, the luxury end, and just looking at 5 to 800,000. So there's still a lot of homes that get sold in there. But the number of active listings for 5 to 800,000 is sitting at 797 properties. And there was 118 sales in the last 30 days for homes between 5 and 800,000. So that gives you an absorption rate of 14.8% or 6.75 months of inventory. There's also about 84 pending properties in that category. But as you can see, the market situation is much different for homes over 500,000. With homes between 5 and 800,000, it's overall still a pretty strong buyer's market. That around 15% absorption rate, that's a little bit lower than my stats for the market as a whole for single family in January. I think it was sitting around 18%. So this shows you that it's a much different story as soon as you get over 500,000. Obviously, if we looked at different segments, like if we looked at 5 to 600,000, that would probably be a little bit different than if like 7 to 800,000, that kind of thing. But overall, that whole range, it's still more of a buyer's market. Now, as I mentioned, you can't take this across the market. Like, it is still a generalization. There's going to be different results in different neighborhoods where there might be more listings and less buyers, or a neighborhood that might have more buyers and less listings. And also it's going to vary based on newer homes versus older homes. That's something that's not the subject of this video. This is just looking at the price brackets essentially. But what I wanted to talk about is what this means for buyers. So if you're buying over 500,000, then you might still be able to negotiate more on the price. Whereas if you're under that $500,000 mark, the inventory has gotten a lot tighter, so there's more competition among other buyers. Personally, in the last week and a half, I've been on the buyer's side in 3 transactions or offers where there's been multiple offers. So we are starting to see properties have multiple offers again. It's not every property. It does depend on the price point and the neighborhood, and how many are available and how many people happen to want that property. So I'm not seeing it across the board, at least not yet, but I'm really watching the market really closely to see how it plays out over the next few weeks to a month. How many new listings are we going to have come on board, and how many new buyers are we going to have? Right now we're seeing that it's getting tighter. This could change if a lot more people list their properties. That we're still early in the spring market, and the balance could change again. So far it's looking a little bit similar to last year, not to the same degree, but it's still a pretty quick change in a short time frame, just in the last 30 days. So what does this mean for sellers? Well, it depends what price range you're in. If you're under 500,000, it might not be a bad time to get your house up on the market if you're hoping to get it sold relatively quickly, assuming you price it right. If it's overpriced, it doesn't mean that it's still gonna sell. But in this current market situation, since the inventory has gotten tighter at this point, if you get your house on the market now, you're gonna have a pretty good situation where there's not a whole lot of other listings for you to compete with. So that might be motivation to potentially put your house on the market sooner rather than later. But of course, it also depends on your unique situation. Are you buying another house? Are you moving somewhere else? Like, there's a lot of other factors that come in there. It's not just about, there's not one perfect time for everyone to list their house. A lot of it depends on what's going on in your life and what your goals are. But if you're over 500,000, it's a bit of a different story. Pricing your property is going to be more important, pricing it properly, because the inventory is just not moving to the same degree as the stuff under 500,000. Obviously, this has been influenced by the increased interest rates. Higher price properties are more vulnerable to that. We've seen a lot more people move into lower price brackets. And now with approximately, I think it was 72% of the market for detached home is under 500,000. That tells you that 3 out of 4 buyers are not looking at your home if you are over 500,000. So just kind of keep that in mind, and you're going to have to be more realistic about your price. This is something that could change as we get further into the spring market. If we have a lot more buyers that come on board, inventory could get tighter, or if we have a lot more sellers that come on board, then it could change the balance again. So I'm going to be watching this, but I just wanted to give everybody a heads up, whether you're a buyer or seller. This is what's happening in the market right now, and we'll have to see how it goes as we get further into the spring market. Now, if you're looking at buying or selling a home this year in Edmonton and the surrounding areas, I can definitely help you out with that. If you go to booktrevornow.com, you can select a time on my calendar, and you can set up a free strategy call with me and ask me anything that you want, whether it's about buying your property, selling a property, how to get pre-approved, anything like that. I can help you. I've got lots of resources that I can connect you with, and I promise that it'll really help you narrow down what are your next steps on your journey of buying or selling a home this year. So there's no obligation whatsoever. I just like to help you out, and if we end up being a good fit and you end up needing to buy or sell this year, there's a good chance you'll become a client, but if not, I'm at least happy that I was able to help you out. So if you'd like to set up a strategy call, go to booktrevornow.com, and then we'll set up a time for us to chat on the phone. Anyways, I hope today's video is valuable for you. If you like these videos and you get value out of them, make sure to like and subscribe. If you click over here, you can subscribe, and if you click over here, you can watch another video. All right, I'll see you next time.